In a world driven by data, one vulnerability is all it takes. Cyber threats don't knock, they break in. Learn to think like an attacker. Defend like a professional.
All right, today we're pulling off a digital heist. We're going to walk you through step by step how a denial of service attack works to take a website completely offline. And the best part? We're doing it all from inside a totally safe, controlled lab environment. You know, it sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie, doesn't it? That classic image of the lone hacker, hood up, typing like crazy in a dark room. But seriously, could a single computer, just one machine, really take an entire website offline? Well, that's exactly the question we're going to answer right now. Okay, so what is a denial of service attack? People throw around the term DoS attack all the time. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to get into your favorite coffee shop, but somebody has paid 100 people to just stand in the doorway, not buying anything, just blocking the entrance. You can't get in. Nobody can. A DoS attack is the digital version of that. It's a massive artificial traffic jam designed to overwhelm a server so that actual users, like you and me, can't get through. Now, obviously, we can't just go and do this on a real website. That's super illegal. So to see this whole thing play out, we need a proving ground, a safe place to run our experiment. We've set up a virtual lab with our two main characters, the attacker and, of course, the target. In one corner, we've got our attacker machine. It's running Kali Linux, which is kind of the Swiss Army knife for cybersecurity folks. It's packed with all sorts of tools. And in the other corner, we have our victim. It's a system called Metasploitable. Now here's the important part. Metasploitable is meant to be hacked. It's a deliberately vulnerable machine, basically a digital punching bag, so security pros can practice their skills safely and legally. Okay. Every good heist needs the right tool for the job. We're not using a crowbar or a stethoscope, though. Our tool is a piece of code. So let's get to the next phase, forging our digital weapon. The weapon of choice for this job is a tool called ZUES. And you know what? It's just sitting out there in the open on GitHub. Getting it is a pretty simple three-step dance. First, you find it. Second, you use a quick command, git clone, to just copy all the code onto your machine. And third, you compile it, which is just a fancy way of saying you turn the blueprint into an actual working program. Yeah, this command here, it might look like a bunch of gibberish, but the concept is really straightforward. That Xerxes.c file, that's the blueprint. The GCC command is like the factory. You're just telling the factory, hey, take this blueprint and build me the tool. And just like that, with one line of code, our weapon is ready to go. All right, the scene is set. Our digital weapon is armed and ready. Now for the main event. Let's launch this thing and see if one little computer can really take down our target. But first, let's do a quick status check. We'll just pop the victim's IP address into a web browser. And, yep, as you can see, the website is up, it's running perfectly fine, business as usual.
And here we go. This is the moment. This one little line of code is the launch button. All we're doing is telling our Xerxes tool to aim at the target's IP address on port 80, which is just the standard door for web traffic. That's literally it. All we have to do is hit enter.
And boom, instantly, the attack is on. That Xerxes tool is now unleashing an absolute flood of connection requests. It's just hammering the victim's server. Not with one or two, but with a relentless stream, thousands and thousands of them. That digital traffic jam we talked about, it's happening right now. Okay, let's jump back over to the web browser. I'm going to try to refresh the page, and look at that, nothing. Just the spinning wheel of death. It's stuck in a loading loop forever. And this is the key point. The server isn't off. It's very much on, but it's so completely swamped dealing with our fake traffic that it has zero resources left to actually serve the website. We've done it. Service has been denied. But wait, how can we be 100% sure it was us? Well, this is easy. I'm going back to the attacker's command line, and I'm just going to hit Control-C. That stops the tool cold, cutting off the flood of data. Now, Let's try reloading that web page one more time. And bam, it's back, loads instantly. The traffic jam is cleared, and the digital storefront is open for business again.
So there you have it. We saw what just one computer can pull off in a controlled lab. But what does this look like in the real world? This is where we go from a little flash flood to a full-blown global tsunami.
Okay, it's super important to understand this distinction. What we just did, that was a classic denial of service, or DoS attack. It was one attacker versus one target. But the big, scary attacks you hear about on the news, the ones that take down banks or gaming networks, those are distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS. Instead of one computer, imagine a hacker controlling an army of thousands or even millions of infected computers all over the world. That's called a botnet. And they all attack the same target at the exact same time. If our one computer created a traffic jam, a botnet creates an extinction-level event. So, let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways from our little heist? First, the tools for this stuff are often surprisingly simple and just out there, for free. Second, we saw that a single command can totally overwhelm a server if it's not properly secured. This is exactly why security professionals use these safe virtual labs to test for weaknesses. And of course, the huge difference between a DOS and a DDoS attack is just a matter of scale, one attacker versus an army. And I have to say it again, doing this to any website or server you don't have explicit permission to test is a serious crime. And that really brings us to a pretty chilling final thought, doesn't it? We used a basic, publicly available tool to knock over a server that was designed to be weak, but it really makes you stop and think. How many websites and services out there on the real internet are just as vulnerable, just waiting for a flood they're completely unprepared for?